Kakade sir, Honorable Dr. Rajeshri Raut ma'am, Honorable Treasurer Gaikwad Patel Group of Institution, Professor Sandeep Gaikwad, Honorable Principal Dr. S.S. Rathore, Honorable Vice Principal Professor Pragati Patil, Coordinator of today's webinar, Professor Jayant Rohankar, faculty members of organization, and all the participants as a professor from various colleges in India. I, Neha Mogre, on behalf of Tulsiramji Gaikwad Patil College of Engineering and Technology, Nagpur, heartily welcomes you all on the second day of webinar on opportunities and challenges in online teaching and learning after COVID-19 in association with Indian Society for Technical Education, IST, New Delhi. This morning, we are delighted to have a very special and renowned expert for today's session, Honorable Director of IIIT Nagpur, Dr. Om Prakash Kakade sir. It's a real moment, especially for me, to witness your auspicious presence, as during my engineering days, I used to refer your books on compiler and theory of computation, and in fact, I still do, sir. And today, I really feel honored and privileged to get an opportunity to introduce you. Honorable Dr. O.G. Kakade sir is Director of IIIT Nagpur. Sir has obtained BE in Electrical Engineering from Vishweshwarya National Institute of Technology, VNIT Nagpur, MTech in Computer Science and Engineering from IIT Bombay, and awarded with PhD degree in 2004 from VNIT Nagpur. Sir has more than 30 plus years of academic, research, and administrative experience. For 5 years, Sir has worked as director of VGTI Mumbai, which is one of the most reputed and more than 130 years of old autonomous institution, fully funded by Government of Maharashtra. He was head of Electronics and Computer Science Department at VNIT Nagpur for 3 years and Dean Research and Consultancy at VNIT Nagpur for 3 years. Talking about his research credentials, he has guided 6 PhDs and 2 scholars which are currently working under him. He has published 12 research papers in international journals and 17 in international conferences and 2 in national journals. He has also published 6 books, which include books on compiler design, theory of computation, data structures, and algorithm in USA and India. Sir has been recognized by various organizations as a reviewer for international conference held in Bangkok. He was coordinator of TEQIP of Government of India, funded by World Bank at VNIT Nagpur, accreditor in IET UK. For National Board of Accreditation, he worked as a member of Engineering Evaluation and Accreditation Committee for Tier 1 institutes and as a chairman of visiting team for Tier 2 institutes. He worked as a chairman of Standing Appellate Committee in AICT, member of Shikshan Shukla Samiti under Government of Maharashtra. He was also been recognized for member of Academic Council in NITIE, member of Governing Council, member of RRC in Amravati University, chairman of BOSIT in Nagpur University, member of Doctoral Research Committee in Chhattisgarh Swami Vivekanand Technology University, and many more in his list. A very warm welcome to you, sir. We are pleased and honored to have you with us today. Sir, we all are excited to listen your today's session. I now request you to please address to our participants. Please, sir.
Hello, am I audible now? Hello? Hello? I'm audible? Yeah, okay. So good morning, everybody. I will share whatever little experience I have and whatever we have done with you in connection with this online education. So all of us are most of the times working from home because of this COVID-19 pandemic, because the whole country was put under lockdown starting from March 25. Slowly, the central government and state government have started opening up certain things, but still it's not fully opened up. Schools and colleges will be the last priority, and therefore there was an issue in front of all educational administrators as well as teachers how to conclude the ongoing session and how to start the next academic session. And the solution available was making use of technology in the form of online education, or making use of technology for online content delivery as well as online assessment, which you commonly call as online education or open distance learning. Or, of course, there is a subtle difference between distance learning and online education, but nowadays these terms are used interchangeably. Actually, distance learning started with correspondence courses when the technology was not available, but nowadays all online tools are used for distance learning also. Normally, online education or online courses, online courses are basically to complement the face-to-face communication, whereas in distance learning, the requirement of physical presence is not at all. I mean, there is no requirement of physical presence of the students, whereas online education normally is complementing to face education. The students can sit in the campus itself, but still make use of online courses. So that is a subtle difference between online and distance education. But nowadays, as I already told you, these terms are used interchangeably. So this COVID-19 pandemic has changed the whole world. We never anticipated this. At least I never anticipated during my lifetimes something of this sort will happen. But it's a fact of the matter. At one point in time, more than 70 countries of the world were under lockdown. More than 50% of the population was sitting at their homes and working. So this was not anticipated at all. But it has happened. And therefore, we have to find out a solution to the problems that we are facing. Because when the lockdown was announced in our country, it was in the month of March. And we were almost halfway through as far as academic session was concerned. Uh, at least 10 to 12 lectures, content delivery was to be covered, followed by assessment and all those things. And therefore, all of us were worried about how to conclude that session. And everybody was looking at basically this online education system. All of you knows that there is tremendous growth in technology, especially in ICT, which has resulted in changes in education sector also. And that was inevitable. So online courses, online education is not new to all of us, because from last 4-5 years, even Government of India is pushing online education in mission mode. They have come up with, initially it was the NPTEL platform, then they come up with SWAYAM and all those platforms, or school education separate platforms and all those things. So it was pushed in the mission mode. So the changes in the education sector to go online were inevitable and were bound to happen, whether there would have been this COVID would have been there or not. What this COVID-19 pandemic has done is it has accelerated the pace of whatever is happening in our education sector. So we should look at this as an opportunity, because many times even our Prime Minister says that even though we are going through an adverse situation, why not to think and convert it into an opportunity? Because that's what the human nature is. We need to always convert the adverse situation into opportunities. So it has accelerated the pace of acceptance of this online education. So these changes were happening from last so many years. There was a push from government side at national level. Also, there was a push at state level. Also, there was a push, but there was some reluctance in accepting. And this COVID-19 pandemic has accelerated the growth of these changes. So we can consider it to be an opportunity. So all of us were looking at online education, and many institutions have successfully done it. At my place also, we have concluded um, the even semester of 2019-20 academic session online. We have conducted assessment and we have formally concluded it. And not only that, we have announced and we have already started the next academic session in online mode, because there is no other solution available, because people are sitting at their places. So reaching out to students was the main concern. But fortunately, in 2020, the technology is available. What would have happened in 1920 when there was a Spanish flu and all those things? we cannot imagine. But as on date, at least the technology is available. Therefore, reaching out to the students is not a problem. Of course, there are some issues with that, and we are going to talk about those issues and challenges and what are the opportunities. As I already told you, we can convert it into opportunities. So where we can look for opportunities. So all of us have started making use of it. So let's have a look at what were the drivers for online education, especially in India. The drivers for online education, especially in India, were number one, penetration of internet. So connectivity has increased. The internet has penetrated, even though there are issues with digital infrastructure in our country, but penetration of internet has increased substantially vis-a-vis what it was 10 years, 20 years before. So that was one of the factors which has contributed in increasing in online education. Online education helps in saving money and cost, money and time both. Because as a learner, you can decide when to learn, where to learn, and how to learn. And therefore, it comes out to be saving on the part of time as well as money. It is very, very convenient also. It's very convenient for doing courses for especially working professionals. And this reskilling and upskilling courses for working professionals in IT has contributed a lot in India as far as online education. Major share of online education in India is coming through the online courses for which working IT professionals are registering for upskilling and reskilling. So it is very convenient. Secondly, they help in bridging the gap between industry and academia. Because in academia, for the reasons best known to all of us, there are some limitations in offering everything that industry needs. So there always used to be a gap between industry and academia. These online courses helps in bridging that gap. And there is a wider recognition by industry for these courses nowadays. So it helps in basically improving the employability also. And of course, already made it clear, support from government, the NPTEL, SWAM, to improve the outreach of the education to focus on quality, because the government wants the access and quality of the education to be improved. So they also started supporting all this. So these were the drivers for the online education era in our country. And therefore, online education, even though we have started using it on large scale because of the COVID-19 pandemic, it's still there. It was there in existence since last, I can say at least 5-6 years. And people were using, not people in profession, especially IT professions were using it. So it's not new to us. Only we have decided to make use of it. The reasons are because of this lockdown, the whole world is going to change. There will be new normals. The way we will be transacting our business post-COVID, the way we will be leading the life, everything will change. And I'm sure that at least 30-40% changes will be irreversible changes. One of them will be moving towards online and distance learning. I'm not saying that online education will immediately become a replacement for face-to-face. That will not be the case. But yes, it will complement, because all of you knows that we were talking about blended learning and all those things. And that is going to be a new normal post-COVID. Because it is having a worldwide effect. It is not only affecting economy, it is affecting all the sectors. And we will have to accept these new normals. Now, when we want to go for online to reach up to all the students who are sitting at their places, we need to look at what are the components which we can push in an online mode and what are the problems that we will be facing. As far as academic institutions are concerned, there are two components which we need to push online. One is content delivery, another is assessment. And each of this has got its own problems. So one is online content delivery, other is online assessment. Because in academia, assessment is also very, very important. There were a lot many controversies going on about assessment and all those things. That is none of our. I don't want to comment on that, but yes, assessment is also important. So online assessment and online content delivery, these things needs to be fixed. And going for online content delivery as well as online assessment is in line with the policy initiatives of NEP 2020, which was approved by the cabinet. Yesterday itself, I attended one conclave on NEP 2020 organized by UGC, which was, I mean, the inauguration was done by Honorable Prime Minister. So one of the objectives of NEP is they are providing option for many institutions to go for open distance learning or online programs, provided they are accredited to school. So as I said, this is going to be a new normal because it provides flexibility, which is very much envisaged in National Education Policy 2020. So what are the challenges as far as online content delivery is concerned? The major challenge that we are facing is, even though I said that there is a lot of penetration of internet, inadequacy of digital infrastructure is still a problem. Because when I decided at my place, many students, especially from rural setup, are having difficulty in understanding this contents. So this is a major problem. And NEP 2020 has taken cognizance of this problem and they have tried to address this problem, because NEP 2020 is talking about
Hello, Kakade sir. Sorry for disturbance, sir. Sir, because of network low bandwidth of from your side, sir, it's better way to sir stop your video. Then it will be okay, sir. Because your voice is not audible, sir. Hello, Kakade sir. Sorry for disturbance, sir. Sir, your voice is not audible, sir. Sir, because of low bandwidth. Sir, it's better way to sir stop your video and then continue, sir. Yes, dear participants, because of network, sir is log out. So just wait for 1 to 2 minutes. Sir is trying to log in.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Now it's okay, sir.
Okay, so you can switch off my video. So I will repeat.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, you can stop your video, sir, from your side.
Okay, I will stop. Okay, I will stop. Now it's okay.
Yes, sir.
So people could not hear, so I will repeat few things.
Yes, sir.
So as far as online education is concerned, we need to focus on two major components. One is pushing content delivery in online mode, and second one is online assessment. And the challenges that we face as far as online content delivery is concerned, number one, inadequacy of digital infrastructure. So even though I said that there is a lot of penetration of internet in our country, last mile connectivity is still an issue. So adequacy of digital infrastructure, especially in the rural area, is an issue, because when I decided to push this, the contents in content delivery online mode, I started getting lot many mails from the students that they don't have digital infrastructure available at their places. Another one is limited interaction with the teacher as well as peer, and conducive environment, because most of the students are sitting at their homes, small homes, especially in crowded places. So it's not conducive environment. The mindset of the students is different, because when they sit in the classroom, psychologically they're prepared. When they sit at home, this is another issue. Attention span of the student is an issue. Then another important issue is the language of the course content or the course material, which we can make available to the students. So a lot of content is available, but the language is English. And we are having large chunk of students, especially from rural area, and has difficulty in understanding. And this issue has been, the NEP 2020 has taken a cognizance of this and tried to address this issue, because NEP 2020 says that the primary education, the education up to 5th standard should be in the native language. It can be extended up to standard 8, and a lot of focus on developing e-content in regional languages. Then another problem is handling labs or hands-on component, because majority of the technical courses used to hands-on. How to handle this hands-on component? When it comes to online assessment, again, inadequacy of digital infrastructure is one of the problems. Then credibility, because our assessment has to be trustworthy. As I already made it clear that every assessment should be valid, consistent, and fair. Valid means it should allow us to assess what we are intending to assess. Consistent means if we repeat the assessment with similar set of batch, the deviation should be minimal. And fairness means the assessment should not get affected by the background of the learner, whether he's from rural or urban and all those things. So we need to have credibility of the assessment. And not only the assessment of theory part, but assessment of hands-on component. So these are the major challenges that we have to face when we go for online education. So where we should focus on, taking into account these challenges. So taking into account these challenges, we should focus on basically strengthening the digital infrastructure, but it is not in our hands. So we have to think of how we can facilitate our students to have good quality infrastructure or at least good connectivity at their place. We need to think of course, this launching of 5G is going to address, because when the 5G will be established, we will have a last mile connectivity. Connectivity won't be an issue. But as on date, even with 4G, we are having issues with last mile connectivity. So we have to think of. Now, one solution which came to my mind as far as engineering institutions are concerned is that, see, we are having students located remotely, and therefore they're facing problems. Those who are in the cities like Nagpur, Pune, and all those things have less problems. But in rural areas, they're having a lot of connectivity issues. Even if some of them are having high-speed data connections, the entire bandwidth is getting consumed, because when we do live streaming and all those things, so we have to become innovative. So what I did at my place is that we have used both online, in which the live streaming was done, as well as we use remote mode or distance learning sort of. We push certain videos which they can get downloaded at ease, have a look at that, and then they can have a question answer session by using medias like WhatsApp. Then they can write emails, they can have even audio calls and all those things. So you have to explore that. But what came to my mind is that I think we are having large number of technical institutions across the country. And now people are saying that it is flooded and many institutions are on the verge of closing down for the reasons best known to all of you. Why not to have and every technical institution has got a adequate digital infrastructure. So why not to have a networking of these institutions and permit the students of your college to make use of the digital infrastructure available in the nearby technical or engineering college? Because there are engineering colleges set up in rural area also. So if I'm located in X location and just 10 kilometers from my place, I'm having an engineering college, I can go there and I can make use of their digital infrastructure. For that, you need to have understanding and networking of all the infrastructures. We used to do at our level, like if you want to do something, we ask the people to go to the nearest MHRD institution and make use of them. We write to that institution. So there are large number of institutions. So you can at least try to address this problem partially of inadequacy of digital infrastructure. I'm not saying that it will get addressed. When 5G will get established and when the rates will become lower, that time it will get addressed. But at least some sort of sigh of relief can be provided to the students, especially who are located in the remote area. So your online classes, these students can come to the nearby colleges, attend there. And since the number will be manageable, there the social distancing norms and all those things can be followed. So this seems to be an immediate solution people can think of. Then when it comes to preparing online content delivery, the teachers are required to master the technology that they are using. There are various platforms available, like we are using WebEx, then Google Team, Jitsi. There are many available. So you have to master the technology by the faculty. If they master the technology, they will be knowing everything, and they can make use of this technology to the fullest extent. They need to plan their classes properly as far as online classes are concerned. Because majority of the teachers are doing it first time. It's not the case that only students are taking up online education first time. Teachers are also doing it first time. So teachers have to become innovative. They need to plan the classes properly. So the slots are required to be announced well in advance. Because the student should be ready, prepared. They should come in that psychological mode and all those things. Screen time is another issue. So recent MHRD guidelines are there, or sorry, MHRD has been renamed in this new education policy as Ministry of Education. So their guidelines are there. So if you want the same which way you are doing in an offline mode to be continued in online mode, then you are not going to get any success. Like you prepare a timetable, 4 lectures in a day to be pushed in online mode, attention span won't be there. So you need to be innovative. Because if you go for streaming for 1 hour, there will be issues. Students' attention span will be limited. So you need to think of, you need to become innovative. Rather than that, just record 10 minutes, 15-minute videos explaining one concept, push them to the students, and then have once in a week 1 hour long discussion with the students. Ask them to see, because this will not have problem of infrastructure, because they can get it downloaded at ease, they can have a look at it. So you have to become innovative. You have to plan it properly. They should be as per the schedule. You have to follow the schedule. You have to be innovative. You need to stimulate discussions. You need to communicate on regular basis, connect with the students. So teachers will have important role to play. Teachers should not think that whatever I was doing in offline mode, now I will be doing in online mode. I will just have a presentation for, because pushing this PPTs is not going to serve any purpose. Students won't be active learners, but they will be passive learners if you do that way. So if you want to keep the students engaged for all the time, you need to simulate discussions. You need to connect with them. So you can have maybe half an hour connectivity with the students, not discussing anything about your course, just to understand their problem. That will develop a good communication with the students. So connect with them regularly, communicate regularly, address their problems on regular basis. These are the doable propositions, but teachers will have to do it and understand it. And if the teachers don't do it, this will be a major hurdle. Design the assessment which will be trustworthy. So your assessment has to be designed properly. Because proctoring is a major issue. The market is flooded with lot many tools claiming that they are providing proctoring and all these things. But the fact of the matter still remains that proctoring requires consuming a lot of bandwidth. And since infrastructure is an issue, we cannot afford to do those things. So how will you bring trustworthiness in your assessment? If the assessment is of MCQ type, there is no dearth of information available. Students have access to everything. If it is subjective, how will you check that they are not sharing their answers and all those things? You need to decide. So you need to think of the assignments which are much more open-ended, not the conventional assessments. If they're open-ended, then they will have to think, they will have to apply their mind. So you have to design your assessment. And as far as labs are concerned, you need to seriously think of making use of virtual labs. So either have virtual labs or contact some of the institutions who have established virtual labs, and they have got a mandate to allow their virtual labs to be used freely. That's a mandate. So virtual labs is a solution for hands-on. So this is the way you can address these challenges. But we talked about only challenges, but we can look for opportunities also. Because see, the education sector is changing a lot. What it was during my parents' time was different. What it was at my time is different, and what it is today is entirely different. The context has changed a lot. The Government of India has approved NEP 2020. It will be put in place for implementation, and it is much more futuristic policy. It has taken a long time. There were not many deliberations. Not many times it was presented to Honorable Prime Minister and all those things, and finally it has been approved and is ready for implementation. So the policy is trying to address many problems which we were having in our earlier education system. So we need to look at it. So NEP is talking about permitting good universities and institutions to offer courses in online mode if they are accredited to do so. The main advantage of this online education is it provides flexibility. and flexibility is envisaged in NEP 202. So we need to consider the opportunities also. Now, online education allows us to increase the reach of our education. So if you are located in a place like Nagpur, you can reach to a person sitting in any corner of the world. So it allows us to provide, it allows us to address the problem of access to the education. Because with so many institutions, we are under impression that the problem of access has been addressed. But that's not true. It's still a problem. It's not possible to reach to large class of populations, especially belonging to socio-economically disadvantaged class. And therefore, that problem can be addressed by using online education. It helps in improving the quality of education also, because dearth of teachers is a problem faced by all the institutions. How will you address the problem of quality education? Through online contents, because it ensures informed. A lecture delivered by a reputed IIT professor or a professor from some university can be attended by anybody. So it will provide access to quality education. Normally, when we go for increasing the access, the quality comes down. That is what has happened in our country. But this will help you allowing access to quality education. And one of the important problems that it allows us to address is ensuring equity. Equity as far as classes are concerned, gender equity also. So even though the registration of girls has increased, especially in technical education or the professional education, is still a problem. So these equity issues can be accessed through online education because of the convenience provided by online education. So maybe with the implementation of NEP, you can become an institution offering online degrees if you take care of all this. So these are the opportunities that we have. And with the online degrees, you can increase your reach. The number of registrations will be substantially higher. And for that, you won't be requiring, I will say, I will not use the word physical infrastructure, because IT infrastructure is also part of physical infrastructure. What you will be needing is setting up of good IT infrastructure. You will not be needing number of classroom, because normally when you want to have more number of students registered with you, you need to have more classrooms as per AICTE norms and all those things. Now those things are going to change. With minimum of this infrastructure and a good IT infrastructure, you can have thousands of students registered. So don't you think that this is an opportunity? So online education comes with challenges, but I'm not saying that these challenges are not addressable. If we apply our mind, these challenges can be addressed. And as I already told you, the post-COVID, the life will be entirely different. There will be new normals. The way we will be leading our life, the way we will be transacting the business, everything is going to change. We have changed our lifestyle. Now we have to go with a mask every time. We need to maintain a distance. We never thought of all these things. And it's going to be there. So it is going to change everything. So it will change our life also. So new normals will be there. So I'm not saying that it will replace totally the conventional education of face-to-face, but it will complement. So certain changes, 30-40% changes are going to be irreversible. We will have to accept. They will become the part of it. So my appeal to all of you is that let's not take it as let us take it as a challenge, convert it into opportunity, prepare a roadmap for a good online education. You can establish yourself as one of the well-known universities or an institution. Thank you from my side. Thank you. That's all from my side. Thank you. So I'm done. Thank you.